Let's hear a story that started, I think it was, what, nowadays, 17 years ago. My mother bought a house in a place called Blueberry Hill. I don't think it was called that at the time because it was privately owned, I believe. There was a man named Hal. He owned it. There was a man named Glenn. He was pretty cool. He even helped me. And we lived there in absolute peace with everyone in this place called Blueberry Hill. Eventually, Hal sold out to Blueberry Hill, or I think there was a woman involved before Blueberry Hill. She sold to Blueberry Hill. I'm not positive about that. But here's the story of me and my mother. Okay? We lived there in total peace with everybody for 14 years. My mother died in the year that Biden was elected. 4 days before his inauguration, her last words were, "At least democracy came back." That's because Trump has already broken the entire government and broke everything that we had with everyone else around the world. But everybody's too stupid to know these facts. But here's something that happened. I was trying to settle her estate after she died. Some dude moves in named Fred Turner with his wife Vicky and bought another friend's house that he had to go back to, I believe it was either Wisconsin or Michigan, I'm not actually positive, because his wife died of COVID. So he decided not to come back to Florida. Okay? So, I was, on the day that man moved into his house, the first time I ever met him, I was actually mowing the yard of another friend that lives one house down across the street from him. This is a very short street and it's a dead end. Okay? It's called Southwest 18th Street. Anyways, I'm mowing his yard. I finish all what I'm doing because that dude had to take his wife back to Michigan to get her buried. So he tells me, "Bill, mow the yard." He had a specific type of yard. He didn't want landscapers or anybody on it. So I mowed it until he would come home. Well, the day they moved in, I finished. I packed up my lawnmower with my weed whacker and the things that I use at that house. I didn't need a car. I just walked up the street to my house. And him and his wife were out, Fred and Vicky Turner. I invited them into the neighborhood. I said, "Welcome." I shook both of their hands. That's the only thing I've ever said to those people. Never anything more. That's very important. Except an apology, which apparently they didn't accept, but that came like a month and a half, 2 months later. When that man moved in, 3 days after he was there, I was walking my dog up the street instead of down the street to the fields, because that place was cool for me and Maisie. I could literally walk her down to the fields and take her off the leash and just let her go ape crap. I mean, dogs don't like leashes. They want to run free. And Maisie was great at that. Anyway, one day I'm walking my dog and he yells off the porch, "It's about time we stop this nonsense going on here." I didn't even know what he was talking about. Next thing I know, I'm being terrorized by this guy. In less than 3 months, the cops came at least 13 times to my house. But I didn't hang out with that guy. I mean, I didn't talk to the guy other than say, hi, neighbor, and welcome him to the neighborhood. Check this out. The dude actually found out that when he walked down the street to my house, I'm out there watering the flowers, doing things. He walks down the street. I turn around from watering the flowers, folks, and I knew he was one of those, like, MAGA nutballs. I mean, he was definitely not afraid to admit that fact to anyone. That he believed in Trump, the Messiah, everything. I mean, this guy was full-blown woo-woo. And I tried to be nice to him. He walks down the street. His wife is screaming. Her name is Vicky, screaming off the porch, saying, Fred, no, come back. Fred, no, come back. Fred, no, come back. Like a freaking parrot that she is. Because, believe me, she is totally under that misogynistic man's thumb. Anyways, he comes down. I was like, Fred, what can I do for you now? You're on my property now. He walks right up to me and pushes me down. Literally, I fell on the ground. And then he turns around and walks away. That's assault. And before he even got home, the cops were already pulling into the driveway. They go right to his house. And by the way, we don't have city cops. We have county cops in this town. Okay? They go right to his house, and supposedly I attacked him. I never hit him. I didn't even get off the ground until he turned around and got up. I just said to him, wow, you really are a hateful, fat old piece of shit, aren't you? You do realize that I'm younger than you and I could beat your ass in a New York second. But I'm passive. I don't care to fight with anybody. I really don't give a shit about your wars, your ridiculous hate, your stupidity. No, I don't, folks. I really, truly don't. But this guy he called the cops on me and said I attacked him on my own property. Well, what was he doing on my property? The cops arrest me, throw me in jail. It cost me, what was it? $2,500. It cost me $200 for bail. Do you know that the judge placed me under bail? I went to court 3 times, and not once was I allowed to talk to the judge, talk to the prosecutor, talk to the cops. Actually, you know what the cops said to everybody that they brought before this judge on a television screen? Not even in person? Shut the hell up, or it's going to cause you problems.
This is Echo 7.
Just stand there and shut up. Don't say a word. It will cause you problems. Everybody did that, just like little animatrons, just like little slaves being led to the slaughter. And then right back to our jail cells again. Horrible freaking food. I don't even know how anyone in this country can consider prison food to be, like, humanizing. It's just not. I wouldn't feed, not one person in this country would feed their dog or cat the crap that you all feed real live human beings that you shoved into a prison under false pretense. Anyway, so then I get out, I call a lawyer because I had money. I didn't need, a public defender. And by the way, in this town, there's only one. And this guy has hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people to take care of. So that's a waste of freaking time. So I hired a real lawyer. $1,500 flat rate. I was like, well, that's kind of expensive for this type of bullshit. And she's like, oh, no, that's not true. I have to do this and this and this and this and this and this. I was like, well, I'm not going back to jail. I'd rather just kill myself than go back to jail. I'm a free spirit. I do not wish to be locked up. That's why I made sure that I've never been locked up in my entire life, and I'm an old goddamn man. Then I go before the judge. I tried calling the prosecutor. I tried calling the district attorney. Oh, they don't want to talk to me. But apparently Fred Turner was allowed to talk to them. Isn't that like a conflict of interest or something? I don't know much about the law, but it seems like conflict of interest to me. And the judge sentences me to, I have to take, a crap load of time understanding like what hate is. So I had to do this course online like 4 or 5 times. I suck at computers. I actually had to call in help to help me do this. I had to report to a parole officer. If I did all these things, no paper would be put against me. The judge would erase that. Okay, fine, whatever. I did everything they said. Again, I had to go to court. And once again, this expensive-ass lawyer who basically never does anything except introduce me to the court judge. I mean, I don't know actually what she ever did. And the dude says to me only one thing. Mr. Conan, good job. Each time Fred Turner was there. Each time. Do you know that Fred Turner went down to my parole officer and yelled at her because she wasn't doing her damn job by throwing me right back in jail again? Yeah, that's right. But he was too pussy-ass to actually stand up to a judge that said, Mr. Conan, good job. Oh, but then he went to Blueberry Hill, and he had the crackerhead general manager named Donna something. Her name is Donna. She doesn't know how to run herself out of a paper bag, let alone do anything else. She actually was on his side. Then I find out that his wife, Fred Turner's wife, Vicky, is actually in their brand new kitchen, and they sell food out the back of this like Donna-made restaurant. I wonder who was catching all that money. Anyways, it was good food. Blueberry Hill used to be a nice place. But, oh my God, I don't understand why any of you think that any of this crap is okie dokie, and it's going on all across this country because you think that this crap is okay. What the hell is wrong with everybody in this country? Nobody should be treated like that. Do you know that this whole incident cost me over $6,000? Because after everything was said and done, I still had to pay another $1,650 in court fees and fines and everything else just for trying to protect myself from an insane old man believing in insane old stuff that literally threatened me and assaulted, not insulted, assaulted me. When all I did was invite them and welcome them to the community. I don't think that me and Fred Turner ever had more than 15 words. But holy crap, I got arrested, thrown in jail, had to pay for a lawyer, had to pay court costs, had to go on parole, blah, 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 blah. Oh, and by the way, when he got Donna involved, I got thrown out of the place that my mother bought, which is why we're back to this. My mother bought a house that my uncle and I did not want her to buy because she didn't actually own the property under it. That's right, folks. It was in one of those little communities that you all live in where you pay rent to put your house that you own. So I was told I had to leave. I was like, well, I'm not leaving until you throw Fred out too. He's the one that started. Oh, no, you have to leave. You're the one that broke all the rules of this place. Then they had their lawyers come on. By the way, Blueberry Hill is owned by a corporation that owns over 190,000 of these places across the country. They're literally a billion-dollar business. Yeah, my lawyer didn't have nothing to say against their lawyers. So I had to sell my house for half of what it was worth. So if you all think what's going on in this country is good for you, and you think that, well, we should turn back time for, things that happened in the past and it was a better world and there were white communities and black communities and now they're all integrated and there's too many people and blah, 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 because that's all that anybody blahs about anymore. You got the dumbass so-called Republicans when there's never been a Republican Party except for the Democratic Party. They're the Democratic Republic, and they had an adversary called the GOP. It's still the GOP. It's still the Democratic Republic. Somewhere in there, somebody stuffed in conservatives and left-wing, right-wing, and Republicans. Yeah, right. Y'all need to pay attention to what's really going on. These folks are literally destroying your world. They dress up like Nazis, they act like Nazis, and we fought World War I and II against that kind of nonsense. So, do what you want, folks. If you think it's a good idea, go for it. I'm just trying to explain my story to you. Oh, by the way, I had to sell my house before my mother's estate was ever settled. So I had to settle it from 105 miles away. Do you know how hard it is and how much money it costs to settle an estate somewhere different? Yeah, try it sometime. I'm sure it'll come soon enough. And by the way, you're all running out of water. And the water where I'm talking about is irradiated because of the stuff that is mined in this state. There's all kinds of things you don't know about because you all believe in nonsense. You have this so-called Republican Party that gets away with literally destroying this country. And then you have this Democratic Party that allows them to get away with anything they want and says that they're the good guys. No, you don't allow this kind of nonsense to go on. We watched an insurrection. We know it was an insurrection. Hell, 300 million people saw it. And yet they're still fighting over that. And not doing a damn thing for any of you folks. Not one of you. I don't even have teeth anymore because of that kind of crazy ass thinking. No one can pay for dentists. No one can pay for doctors. No one can pay attention to their local mayor and who is elected. No one can pay attention to the county they live in and who is elected. No one can pay attention to the state and who is elected. No one can pay attention to the damn school board and who's actually watching out for their children. They're too busy arguing back and forth about absolute nonsense. Well, I said my piece. When it happens to you, then you'll see. Oh, and by the way, do you know that about 82% of all homeless people are actually like the people that this country sent to war? Yeah, they're all war veterans. Sure, there's a bunch of them out there that aren't, but about 82% of them are. Some of them are crippled. Some of them are in damn wheelchairs, wheeling around with pulling things behind them. So when they want to send you off to war and tell you that they're going to give you the world when you come home, don't believe it, folks. Don't believe it. It's not your government. The problem is you don't have a government anymore because you keep voting for the same jackasses decade after decade after decade. So you don't have a government. You have a bunch of puppets owned by the United Corporations of America. And they're told to keep us, the slaves, in line. Okay. And when they're told to go fight that war, they do it. And when they're told to not fight that war, they don't. But you all stuff your nose into everything that does not matter except for the fact that you don't care really about your fellow person. Your fellow man, the person standing right next to you. You don't care anything about them. You only had two jobs, folks. Take care of one another so that together you could take care of the planet, which is called the garden. And then you all call yourselves Christians. You gotta love it. You wouldn't know what a Christian was if it came up and literally gnawed your balls off. Because you're wrong. You're not allowed to do what you're doing unless you believe in the evil God that Jesus told you to throw away. So you can't possibly be a Christian. There are no Christians in America that I've ever met. I meet a lot of people that say that they're Christians. Hell, I could walk out the door, literally walk out the door, walk up to the first person. Are you a Christian? Oh, hell yeah. Just like they think that Trump actually is a Christian. Yeah, right, whatever. That dude can't even quote one thing out of the Bible. I can. Jesus told you, beware the rise of this religion. Actually, he said it this way. Beware the leaven of this religion. Means the same damn thing. Leavened bread, unleavened bread, means the rise of. And now look at it. It's all across the whole goddamn world. And look at what it's done. But you all call yourselves Christians, right? Ready to stand up for Christ, right? Well, Christ stood up against a religion he didn't believe in and a fascist government which you're allowing to be built in America called Rome at the time. And he was murdered for it. He didn't die for you. He was murdered for you. There's a difference. I'm out. You guys have a great day. Good luck with your future for your children, your grandchildren, and everything. You have broken this world so bad, I don't know if God himself could bring this crap back to reality. He's just going to wait until it burns the fuck up because you're all insane. You've all literally gone insane being slaves. And you don't even know you're slaves, half of you. It's like, oh my God, whatever. I'm out of here. Y'all have a good day. Love each other. Take care of each other. Take care of the garden. It was given to you for free, and everything in it is for free. I never understood why no one got that fact out of their ridiculous religious books across the whole spectrum of this world.